Guys, let's fucking go, baby. Little scalp a lot. Another daily review. Guys, I am sitting on my best day of the year. Last week, I started Monday on my best day of the year. Today, I doubled that shit. Guys, today was really, really, really bullish, man. We saw a lot of bullish momentum, and that was very clear that we were going to get some bullish momentum right out of the gates at 7 a.m. And this didn't surprise me too much, especially after we had some hot plays yesterday. Going into 7 a.m., I was ready. We had a play that was up over 300% going straight into 7 a.m., so I knew it was going to be a banger of a day. I got locked in. I got focused. Didn't trade perfect, and when things start to heat up, you have to trade pretty. You have to trade pretty great when things are slow to be profitable. But when things heat up, you get a little bit more of a leash, but that's the time to really step in and pedal into your strategy because, your moves to the upside are going to be greater. They're going to be quicker. But at the same time, you still have to be disciplined and you still have to manage your executions. And you still got to be focused and, focus on your strategy, guys. I'm going to get right into this because, it was a really great day. TNON was what sparked this day off, I believe. You had this really nice move at about 6:30, but when I was interested, it was going into 7 a.m. Look at this beautiful move on the 5-minute, man. Straight into 7 a.m. We had beautiful volume coming in on TNON. Unfortunately, I was not sitting down at my desk this morning. I was busy for work. I did not get to sit down and focus on this, but I was watching it, and I kind of used this as sentiment for the rest of the day. Guys, look at this beautiful first 5-minute pullback on TNON after this beautiful run up on the 5-minute. This thing ripped. I'm telling you, I missed this. Sad I missed it. It was a great play. Look at it kind of hold this pivot on the 5-minute. Guys, I'm looking for these pivots. These pivots work, man. Get this nice push. This first 5-minute pivot right here. It gives us a beautiful low volume pullback. Look at this lower volume pullback right here. First 5-minute A tap. It was a little extended on the 5-minute right here from the 5-minute 8, but this first 1 minute 20, which I use about the 5-minute 8, this is definitely where I'm starting to look to take my positions because, this is a good first dip, a good healthy dip, where long bias traders are going to look to take a low risk position for a move higher. And that's exactly what happened here. We had nice highs at 385. This gave pretty good range. This pivot right here was about 340s. Like I said, good range, good 40-cent range right here. And dude, this thing just ripped all the way up to $6. I mean, this is great price action, great momentum. I didn't catch any of this. That's perfectly fine because this is going to give better sentiment to the next plays that are going to come. And the better thing was that things were actually dropping catalyst today. Even though I missed this, we had POAI, which dropped some news. I'm not going to focus on what it was, but the big picture was this thing did have a catalyst. And look at the move that we got at this thing. Going into 8 a.m., had pretty nice volume. Again, I was a little busy, so I didn't see this first 5-minute pullback. But I'm not sure if I would have taken this just because it was going. I don't really like trading right at 8 a.m., especially like on a pullback like this. I usually sit out at that just because of the wicks at 8 a.m. But I think, my first trade of the day was on TNON. And it was a loss. I started the day red, guys. I kind of had this pivot marked right here. And I actually took a trade, I believe, right in this area. Let me see where I took one. I believe it was right here. Actually, so we had this support right here. Support level right here. Made a nice bounce. Kind of sold off, And then it made a move again right here. So I believe I bought this dip, My thought process was, look at this increase in volume right here. I thought this was going to kind of set up to, test this level again, maybe test this level and try to make new highs. And it was kind of giving us like a little bit of a, this was a big increase on the 5-minute right here. and it was kind of giving me a 5-minute flag look. So I took an entry right here. Got stopped out for a loss. I really wasn't surprised. I really wasn't surprised on it. I took the loss. I cut it. I did start the day red, but what caught my eye was POAI that actually had a nice setup. After this big run, it sold off, kind of pulled back. It was kind of consolidating under VWAP a little bit here. Tried to pop, failed to hold VWAP. But what got me interested is this push above VWAP right here. Good volume, good healthy volume. And I kind of marked out this pivot right here where it had trouble. Popped above VWAP, had trouble right here. Broke below VWAP again, and then broke above this pivot right here. And this is what I was looking for. I bought this dip right here. Again, got a nice move on the 5-minute right here. Getting nice volume in right here. I grabbed that first 5-minute pullback, and it ripped for new high. Well, not for new highs, but kind of pushed and broke this pivot right here. And this was a great trade. Got me green on the day. I sold half once it broke this level, and I was kind of holding half looking for more, and I actually ended up stopping out break even on the rest. But I did add again, because then we got this 5-minute push right here, started to give us a 5-minute pullback again, and I took another entry, tried it again, still holding this pivot over here, looking for that pivot to hold at 235s, got another push out of it, and I think I just took my profits on this, took a little base hit on it, and I was sitting pretty green going into open, and I was happy with those trades. Even though it didn't break out for new highs, we still got a pretty good range here. Guys, the magic happened at open, man. We had DATS, which is a very familiar name from the past. Got a nice, started popping at going into like 9 a.m. right here. Kind of sold off, but I was very interested going into open because it started to squeeze going into open. So it kind of sold off here, held the 5-minute 8 area, and then started making a push into open. And this was something that I was watching, or had on watch going into open. But open started off a little tricky. I saw that POAI was kind of selling off. And TNON, which was kind of consolidating all morning after that massive run that it had earlier in the morning, gave us a nice pop at open. And this is where I kind of centered my focus on at open. I'm like, POAI is kind of dumping right now. DATS, it had a uncertain open, so I was looking for that one that's going to continue higher. And I took a trade on TNON. So we got a nice move out the gates, and it started to give me my 5-minute pullback look. Now, what made it tricky is that I would have been looking for dips like, not really these dips right here. Maybe if it, imagine we saw this right here, and then it dipped a little bit more, I would have probably took that trade. But this thing started to rip prematurely. Not prematurely, but, it just wasn't, it was kind of more of like a 1-minute pullback as opposed to like a 5-minute, coming down, tapping the 1-minute 20 or tapping the 5-minute 8. And it tried to make that push and it got stuffed hard. But what interested me was that we got bought up at this level, which was a pre-market pivot. Look at these levels right here. These pivots right here kind of holding up. And once this wicked and kind of held, buyers came in at this level. That's what that tells me, is that buyers came in off this pivot. And I kind of seen this on a play last week where, it tried to push for highs. It got stuffed, but it trapped the shorts right here and still made new highs. So once this wick kind of happened and then it dipped again, I bought a dip right off this wick right here. And I kind of used this as a risk. So I kind of got this dip. It tried a little bit, but unfortunately I got caught in this kill candle and I lost a little bit more than I wanted to. I kind of hesitated on cutting it, but didn't work. And I went from pretty green on the day to break even. And I was like, you know what? It's okay, because then DATS started catching some volume. And guys, this is where I got locked in. I'm like, you know what? TNON didn't work. POAI was still selling off. I'm like, one of these is going to get momentum. That's just how it works, man. It's an intuition thing. And what caught my eye on DATS was that it sold off into open, and then we started to get try to test VWAP right here. kind of failed, but then we got this increase in volume, this nice push above VWAP. So now I'm looking at this pivot, which was kind of like, kind of the highs going into pre-market right at open. And guys, I grabbed this first dip right here. I know this is a nice red wick right here. Doesn't mean it's a bad thing. So, I tried to make this push. It got stuffed. But as TNON was, really starting to dump right here, I'm expecting that people were going to rotate over to DATS. And as soon as this thing gave this 5-minute pullback right here, guys, I slapped this right here. I slapped it. I was kind of just risking VWAP. I put some size on the table for this one. And guys, look at this quick resolution. Buyer stepped up to VWAP. And yeah, I locked in on this first 5-minute pullback. It's kind of like a 1-minute pullback, but the moral of the story is we broke above VWAP. We kind of got stuffed right here, made a pullback, and I grabbed that dip in anticipation to retest this level, retest this pivot, and break above it, and that's exactly what happened. Look at this beautiful volume came in, beautiful move. I sold right at highs right here, 370s, 380s. I took my profits. But in hindsight, look at the move this thing gave, man. Beautiful breakout on the 5-minute. Look at this move. This is beautiful. I took another trade on it. Once I seen this thing setting up a proper 5-minute flag right here, guys, look at this pivot. Mark the pivot right here. Yellow's what I use is like when I'm looking for support. Let me go ahead and delete this line right here. Guys, once I seen this thing pulling back like right here, I was super interested. I'm like, look at this. Beautiful 5-minute volume. Starting to get lower on the selling right here. Got a good 5-minute flag. Looking for that first 5-minute A-tap right here. After that massive run right there. I believe I took a starter like right here. I think I was holding like 469s. I didn't get the best average, but once it tapped this pivot right here, it was, getting soaked up right here. It held this pivot, guys, and I was looking. I don't think I caught new highs on this, but I was at least looking for this 540s area. But I was holding about 469s. Once I seen this little push right here, I took some profits at $5. You know what I mean? Locking in my gains, set up a nice little 1-minute flag, ripped again to this level. I took the rest off right here. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get my base hits. This thing just made a massive move. Could it break for new highs? It could, but I was happy with my base hits. These things were giving good range. Endless opportunities today, man. And this is really good going into the rest of the week. Guys, I'm super grateful to be in this position, to see the fruits of my hard work, my strategy working. Again, the key is just maintaining discipline, focusing on proper execution, risk management, because I'm going to catch these plays. I'm going to catch my setups. But, it's easy to get caught up in the P&L, I'm starting to really make some money. My P&L curve is starting to get straight up, and, even though I'm seeing success, it's equally as important to continue to manage my risk, be patient. When things aren't working, get out of the trade. Take smaller losses, you know what I mean? I definitely still struggle with that. Even when I'm cutting my losses, I can definitely cut them quicker, and just take smaller losses, and it would definitely lead to bigger green days and things like that. But, guys, the money's going to come. A good note to myself is just try to stop worrying about the P&L so much. Focus about the execution. I am starting to size up, and I feel like that's kind of happening naturally. God, I stutter a lot, man. But yeah, man, it was a banger of a day. Gonna keep hammering every single day on my strategy, on this goals that I'm setting for myself. And yeah, I'm expecting a pretty hot week. I'm gonna keep pedaling into these plays, man. That's all I got for you guys today. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.